We're so excited to have you with us here at the inaugural MDRT Speaks. Tell me, how many years have you been in the financial services industry?
48
years. So you have been around as a salesperson, a manager, a marketer, and a senior executive.
I have.
So tell me, what are you going to share with us today?
I'm going to talk about keeping it simple, building trust, being likable, and keeping it simple.
Sounds great. Can't wait to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Connolly.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to make a very simple point today in the time that I have. Of all the people that get in our business, hundreds of thousands of people, only 1% get to the $1 million level. How do they do that? Well, there's not enough time today to talk about that, but I'm going to tell you one thing they do. They're soft skill people. All of you have two sets of skills. You have hard skills, you have soft skills. This business focuses on the hard skills, quantitative skills. We measure ourselves by how good we are with balance sheets and doing plans and market trends and predicting interest rates. That's the hard stuff. That's what you know. Soft skills are who you are, and that's what separates these people. What do they bring to the table? They're not focused on interest rates and market trends. They're focused on being likable and building trust and listening, like Sarah was talking about, and making eye contact and bringing high energy and thinking like a CEO. It's a soft skill business. So I want to talk about how simple this business really is, and then give you a couple of soft skills to think about. This business is hard. It's not easy, but it's simple. If I do client events, that's how I spend most of my time in front of clients. I've talked to them now for 48 years, and I can tell you straight from the client's mouth, if someone's going to do business with you, only three things have to happen. Don't make this business complicated. People must like you, people must trust you, and people must think you're smart. Am I missing anything? Does it matter if you're with Merrill Lynch or LPL or big firms, small firms? Does it make any difference? If you're a man or a woman or black or white or young or old or short or tall, it doesn't make a bit of difference. If I like you and trust you, you get my business. If I like somebody else better, she gets my business. It's frontier justice. It is that simple. I read an article, a very interesting article, June of 2005 in the Harvard Business Review, talking about likability in the workplace. And I've taken the article, and I'm going to apply it a bit to our business. The article talked about competence and likability. If we hire someone, if a person hires you, it's a combination of competence and likability. Well, 2 times 2 times 1 is 4. There are only 4 combinations of competence and likability. You can be a competent jerk. You're not going to do very well. We all do business with people we like. And people want to be around someone who's delightful and not hard to get along with. So competent jerks don't make it very far. I don't care how competent you are. You can be, as the article said, a lovable fool. You're not terribly good at what you do, but you're fun to have around. You'll do okay. People will cut you slack. You could be incompetent, unlikable. We won't even talk about that. Or you could be the lovable star, the 1%. That combine competence and likability to a fare thee well. They're so competent and so likable that people just want to hang out with them and do business with them. So let me talk about 2 soft skills in the time that I have. I'm going to give you 1 soft skill. See, it's impossible don't try to be better than the next person. Try to be different. We're running in a pack in this business. We're all chasing the same, you're all very bright, you're all well-trained, you're all chasing the same business. You're running in the pack, and the pack's making the decisions. Don't go there. Try to stand apart, be different. I'm going to give you a soft skill that'll make you so different, you'll stand out in your town, you'll go viral. You'll stand out so much. And that's simply this. You want people to do business with you? Care. In fact, care more than people expect you to care. You can smell it when you walk in a store and that young lady doesn't care. You can feel that from 25 feet away, can't you? Well, clients have 2 sets of expectations. They expect the investments to work, but they also expect you to care. And most people don't care. As Seth Godin points out, caring has become a shallow marketing technique, when in reality, it should be the very core of your business. We've got to care for people and care more. It's legendary caring is the genesis of legendary service. Look, we all have the same food. You're all cooking the same food. Every firm sells the same products to the same people at the same price with the same results. It's generic. You've got to get away from that. You've got to stand out, and you've got to be different, and you do it by caring. You do it with your service. People don't go to a 5-star restaurant just for the food. They go there for the experience. Well, they're not coming to you just for the products. They're coming for the experience. Make every visit to your office a 5-star visit. And it begins with caring. And it's not the big stuff, it's the little stuff. And you and I, we have to redefine what great customer service is. Look, say you want to get your watch repaired. So you take your watch in to get repaired, and they say, we'll call you, we'll let you know what it's going to cost. And they call you that afternoon, and they say it's going to cost this, and come on in Tuesday, and you go in Tuesday, and your watch is done, and it's all shined up, and it's working perfectly, and the bill's exactly what they said it was going to be. Is that great service, or is that just doing your job? That's just doing your job. If a couple comes to see you and says to you, we have 2 children, we want to get our kids to the best schools possible, we want 2 homes when we retire, a retirement home and a main home, completely paid for. We want $5 million in the bank. And you do that? That's not great service. That's your job. That's just doing your job. I mean, take it to the next level. And it's not the big things, it's the little things. I've got a friend of mine, he's in Florida. He did almost $3 million in fees last year. He's a huge producer. He won this award called the Big Bull. You can guess the firm. He's the Big Bull in his office. And I asked him, what makes you so great? And he said, Don, you know what? I really believe it all starts with caring about my clients. I love my clients. Now, my radar goes up because I'm a soft skill coach. I love that. I said, tell me about that. How do you show your love for your clients? He said, no, Don, you'll laugh. I said, I won't laugh. Tell me. He said, okay, but don't laugh. I said, I won't laugh. He said, my clients are older. This is Florida. I have widows. I have widowers. They're old. They're frail. They don't take care of themselves. These people need love. He said, Don, I keep a tire gauge in my desk. When the appointment's over with an elderly woman, I'll walk her to her car. I'll get down on my hands and knees. I'll check her tire pressure to make sure her tires are okay before she drives away. I love her that much. He said, Don, I get more referrals checking tires than I do doing seminars. He said, I go to my elderly clients' homes every 6 months. I set the clocks in their cars because they don't know how to do that. Those aren't big things. Those are things people never forget. We all got the same food, don't we? It's the service that counts. I know a father and son team in Pittsburgh. They bought a used van. They hired a social worker. It cost them $30,000 a year. It's their investment back in their own business. What's that social worker's job? Every single morning, he goes to the homes of their older clients to make sure they got their meds right. They have to go to the bank. He'll drive them to the bank. Drive them to a doctor's appointment. Drive them to an appointment to see the financial advisor. Pittsburgh is snowy, it's hilly, it's dangerous. Old people fall. It can be life-threatening. He drives them everywhere. I've got a friend in California. He read in the paper about an organization that's for paralysis victims. One of the benefactors of that paralysis charitable foundation is Pat Boone, the singer. And my friend Jack, who's a financial advisor, spends $5,000 a year twice. That's his marketing budget. Does 2 $5,000 client events. He called Pat Boone. Said, if I make a $5,000 contribution to that charity, will you sing 3 songs to my clients? Pat Boone said, absolutely. They got in a bus in Anaheim, buses. His clients brought 249 people that weren't clients to meet Jack and hear Pat Boone. It's that kind of stuff that's so important. Look, if you went to a new restaurant in your town, the first day back, you go to a brand new restaurant, the food is great, the service is lousy, would you recommend that restaurant? No. Well, that's the way we ask somebody for referral, what's it based on? It's based on service. They have to want to introduce you around, and it all starts with caring. So one thing I will tell you is this: care more than people expect you to care. It will separate you from your peers so far that you will go viral. People will talk about you. Because service in America, at least in America, has slipped to the point where someone does their job right, want to write their boss a letter saying how great they are just for doing their job. That's how bad service is. So ramp your service up and care for people and love them, and you'll get paid back in spades. That's one soft skill. The other soft skill is this. You people as financial advisors, actually any trained professional, but let's talk about financial advisors. You've forgotten how smart you really are. You people are incredibly bright. You're also incredibly well trained. You have this enormous reservoir of knowledge. You've got this cumulative knowledge, this depth of knowledge behind you. It is impossible for you to know what it's like not to have that knowledge. Because now it's in your bones, right? You're trained, successful financial advisors. And you don't know what it's like not to have that knowledge. Every time you talk to somebody new, they're of lesser knowledge. They don't know what you know. So a word that comes out of your mouth that may seem perfectly practical to you is this enormous leap for them. Everything you say is a product of your cumulative knowledge. That's why when you talk to your doctor, The doctor, it doesn't make, it's very confusing why he or she can't imagine you not knowing anything about medicine. Ask a basketball coach. The finals are on now, LeBron James in the finals. Ask a basketball coach to explain a pick and roll. Ask a scientist to explain global warming. Ask a financial advisor to explain mutual funds. That is called the curse of knowledge. It's the illusion of explanatory depth. You understand something so well that you can't imagine not knowing it, and everyone that walks in your office is not on your level. Well, you can't have a conversation when you're talking two different languages. For God's sakes, we know that here. You got to have a common language. Now, who's going to get the new account? The advisor speaking college level English or language, or the advisor speaking third grade English? Who's going to get that new account? And I'm not talking about dumbing down your conversation. I'm talking about making your speech elegant. You've got to make your speech so elegant that everybody understands everything you say. If everybody understands everything you say, you'd be the richest financial advisor in the world. If nobody understands you, you're out of business. That is called the curse of knowledge. I urge you to read a book called Made to Stick. The author's name is Heath, H-E-A-T-H, two brothers, Chip and Dan. They'll tell you in great depth what I'm going to tell you now in the next 14 or 15 minutes. How do you overcome the curse of knowledge? How do you make yourself understood? You know more about finance than the smartest architect in the world. If the smartest surgeon in the world walks into your office, you know more than he or she does. You know what? People don't buy what they don't understand. Now, clients, as a rule, whether they're in the United States or China or Australia, are so polite, they'd rather lie to your face than hurt your feelings. So when they don't understand you, what do they say? We want to do what? We want to go home and think about it, which means I have no idea what you're talking about. Now, when somebody comes to see you, it's a job interview. They're going to see more than one financial advisor. They're going to see two or three. So this is a job interview for you, and do you think when mom and dad leave your office and get in their car, do you think they talk about asset allocation? Do they talk about convexity? They talk about one simple thing: do you like her? Do you trust that guy? You see, clients don't want information. They want someone they can trust. That's all they want. No clients ever woke up and said, my goal is to know as much as a financial advisor. That's not what they want. Clients don't want mutual funds, they don't want ETFs, they don't want deferred annuities, they don't want safety, or they don't want growth, they don't want liquidity. They want to put their kids through school and retire. That's all they want. And they're going to go with the person they trust. And how you say it so it makes an impact determines how much they trust you. So I want to tell you how to overcome the curse of knowledge very briefly, and I'll turn this podium back. You have got to make this business simple. Now, you know it so well, you've created shortcuts in your mind that prevent you from explaining it properly. If I said to you, come on up and explain to us how a toilet works. You've used a toilet all your lives. Well, yeah? Well, come tell us how it works. Well, you got a flapper and a thing and a handle, and how do you explain mutual funds? How do you explain volatility? How do you explain diversification so somebody understands it? That is the key to going to that $1 million level. That's what separates elite advisors from everybody else. Their ability to be understood. So first of all, you've got to make this business simple. Mr. and Mrs. New Account, I don't want you to think of me as a financial advisor. I want you to think of me as an airline pilot. Now, analogies make the unfamiliar familiar. We're going to tell them a word story, right? I want you to think of me as an airline pilot. When you fly, there are three things you want to do. You want to take off and land safely, you want to get where you're going, you want to get there on time. That's exactly what I'm going to do for you. Now, there are two rules that govern our relationship. Rule number one, I didn't build the airplane. This mutual fund company, ETF, whatever it is, they built the airplane. So if en route we have mechanical difficulty, don't get mad at me, get mad at them. They built it. And we are going to have mechanical difficulty. When interest rates go down, bond prices go up. When interest rates go up, bond prices go down. When earnings get cut, dividends get slashed. We're going to have difficulty. I didn't build it. Get mad at them. And the second rule is this. As your pilot, as your financial advisor, I'm not paid to predict the weather. I am paid to react to weather. So there'll be days I'll say, fasten your seatbelt. There's rough weather ahead. There'll be days I'll say, feel free to walk about. The seatbelt sign is off. But when this journey's over, I'll get you where you want to be on time safely. Mr. and Mrs. Client, look at it this way. You go to the airport tomorrow, there are 2 planes flying to New York. One has a pilot, one doesn't. Hop on, your choice. They're going to go with you. Make it simple. The second thing you've got to do is make your ideas unexpected. This is right out of the book, Made to Stick. Make your ideas. See, you don't want to be brilliant. You want to be memorable. You want people to remember what you said. And if you're talking gobbledygook, if you're talking about, you say to a client, we're going to diversify your assets. Well, I should hope so. You have no idea what that means. We're going to allocate your assets across, yeah, I would think so. They don't understand. You've got to make your ideas unexpected. The most complicated thing in your bag, in the United States, we call it a deferred annuity, a tax deferral instrument. Those are so hard to explain, and therefore the sales process is the longest because they're hard to explain. And people have to learn about it, think about it. Not for my friend Jim. My friend Jim is awesome at selling deferred annuities. You know why? He has a cutout of Barack Obama. It's a full-size, life-size cutout of the President of the United States. It's made of cardboard, has a stand, and it's Barack Obama standing like this. He's been doing this with people so long. He's been doing this. He has cutouts of every U.S. president since Jerry Ford. It's actually creepy to walk in his office because there's like 8 U.S. presidents there like this. When he sells a deferred annuity, he brings Barack Obama in a conference room like this. He puts the people here, he sits here, he puts Obama behind him like this, looking at the people. And they say, what's Barack Obama doing here? He said, I'm going to talk about deferred annuities and saving money in taxes. When I get done, you're going to write one of us a check. So I brought him in case it's him. So, make it unexpected. Make your ideas so simple, unexpected. Make your ideas concrete. You've got to talk in language people understand. Make it related to them. I got a friend who was an advisor in Boston. A firefighter came in. She wanted to invest some money. So he's showing her track records and mutual funds in the past and all the stuff we all do. And she said, you seem awfully sure of this stuff, but this stuff's not guaranteed. How do you know it's going to work? He said, I just know. I've been doing it long enough. He said, what do you mean you've been doing it long enough? He said, well, let me ask you. You're a firefighter. Is there going to be a fire in Boston tomorrow? She said, I don't know. Maybe. He said, how about over the next week? Very likely. How about the next month? Absolutely. Do you have a rough idea over the next year, how many fires will be in Boston? She said, vague, pretty good idea. How about the next 5 or 10 years? Do you know, based on history, how many fires will be in Boston over the next 10 years? He said, yeah, pretty much. He said, yeah, how do you know? She said, I just know. He said, see? I've been doing it long enough, I just know. Ideas have to be credible. Mr. and Mrs. Client, Mr. and Mrs. New Account, can you take my advice even though you disagree with me? What does that mean? Well, can you picture those Acapulco cliff divers? Can't you picture those people? Now, that's a good word picture, isn't it? Those 2 guys in Acapulco up on that cliff. Those guys are 125 feet in the air. That's 12 stories in the air. When they look down, there's a pool of water 21 feet deep at its fullest. When the tide goes out, rocks. These guys are up 12 stories. They've got to time their jump, don't they? So the water's coming in, they hit the water, they survive. Mr. and Mrs. New Account, I'm like those Acapulco cliff divers. There were days I call you and say, hold my hand, we're going to jump, and all you can see are rocks. Can you do that? Those rocks are called ISIS, fiscal cliff, terrorism, interest rates, European Union, Greece, Italy. Can you hold my hand and jump even though you disagree? It's in a language they understand. Ideas have to be emotional. You've got to say, you're never going to go to wherever the company, you're showing a product, say if it's from New York or from London or wherever. You're never going to go to London and meet the CEO. CEO's never coming here to meet you. So let's stop deciding about the product. You folks have to decide about me. That's your challenge. Now I'm going to leave the room. You and your husband sit here. You have the important discussion. You answer the important questions. The most important question in financial planning is this: do you trust me? Do you like me? Do you like me? Do you trust me? Do you think what I'm recommending is right for you and your family? If I get a green light, let's go. If I don't. But don't tell me you want to think it over. See, nobody wants to think it over. They really don't. But they're not going to buy what they don't understand. In 180 months, a 3-year-old is going to be in college. Somebody 45 years old who gets paid once a month and wants to retire at age 65 has 240 paychecks left in his or her life. That's all. A 50-year-old has 180 paychecks left. Game over. They don't want to think about it, but they're not going to buy what they don't understand. And you've got to make them understand. And the best way to do that is you've got to put your ideas in story form. Everyone loves a story. Everyone loves a storyteller. Everybody remembers great stories. In 1966, Merle Haggard came to Nashville. Nashville was acoustic. He brought in electric Fender guitars. He changed the sound of Nashville. They call it outlaw music. They fell in love with Merle Haggard. He recorded a song in 1966 called Mama Tried. If you're a Grateful Dead fan or a Joan Baez fan, you know that song. In 1994, he went in the Hall of Fame. And he was asked later, 26 people recorded that song. The Grateful Dead, Joan Baez, they go nowhere. You go to the Hall of Fame. How is that? He said, that's simple. They were singing the words. I was telling the story. And Mama Tried is a great story. I'm going to tell you the greatest story you can tell is your life story. You don't have time, so you need a shortened version called the Who I Am story. Because when you're sitting there giving a presentation and you're talking to people, you know what they're doing? They're sitting there thinking, should we go ahead? Can I trust you? Are you married? Where do you live? Do you have kids? Where do your kids go to school? Where do you go to church? What do you do on the weekends? What are your family values? Why should my family get involved with your family? It's got nothing to do with the numbers. Numbers put people to sleep. They're deciding about you. Tell you a story about it. I have a friend named Randy. Some of you in the audience probably know Randy. Randy, as a child, had lung cancer. He lost a lung. He has diminished capacity in his one remaining lung. In 1989, Randy broke his neck in a plane crash. Between cancer and breaking his neck, Randy can't talk in a normal voice. He can only whisper. Randy decided to become a financial advisor. I did his 20th client event this year. This summer, Randy passed $1 billion in assets under management. He's the #1 advisor at Raymond James Financial Services. He can't talk in a normal voice. You know what he says to people? Because I can't talk, all I can do is listen. What does that tell you? He said, now, Don, people don't care if they're drinking Pepsi or Coke. They just want to slake their thirst. People don't care if it's mutual funds or annuities or ETFs. They just want to get to Florida in good health. They want their grandkids in good health. They want to retire in good health in a crime-free area. It's all they want. They don't care who does it. It's that stuff I care about. I don't talk about it, care about. I make them talk about what they care about. He calls it vision selling. So he says to this couple, in this whisper, I can't talk. He said, I can't talk. I'm going to leave it up to you to talk. You folks, please, tell me your vision, right down to the last detail. How do you want to spend your lives in retirement? Now, part of charisma is stirring up emotions. He's great at that. He gets them to stir up their own emotions. Tell me. So they start talking. They want to live in Florida in the winter months on a golf course. They want to play golf with Callaway Cavity Back clubs. They're foodies, so they want Italian food nearby. And they want a mall, and they want it crime-free, and they want the grand, and they get going and going and going and going. Then Randy has nothing on his desk, no financial plans, no questionnaires. When they're done, Randy simply asks them one question. If I can make your vision come true, can we do business? What's the answer to that question every single time? It's not talking, it's listening. So I'm going to tell you, look, next to the family doctor, you are the most important person that family will ever meet. Don't you ever forget how important you are. You carry yourself that way, you sit that way, you talk that way, you act that way. If you're managing $30 million in assets, you're the CEO of a $30 million company. If you're managing $150 million, like somebody I talked to earlier, you're the CEO of a $150 million company. Act like it. And I'm going to tell you now, two things never change. If you focus on what changes every single day, it's going to change your world. It's going to change your map of how you do business that day. Focus on the two things that never change. Number one, no matter who wins the election in America in 2016, no matter what happens with terrorism or interest rates or the European Union or South American economies, your clients always have goals. That is your beacon. You focus on your clients' goals. They don't want to beat the Russell 2000. They don't want to outperform the Dow. They want to retire comfortably. They want to get their kids through school. The second thing that never changes is you got to run a business, right? So go in the morning, you put your blinders on, you focus on your client's goals, everything else is white noise. And I can also tell you in all my life, I have never met a successful pessimist. So get out there, choose to be optimistic, help your clients, hold their hands, get them where they want to go. As long as you can keep and get clients, you'll be in business forever. Thank you all very much.
That concludes this program. For additional information on the Million Dollar Roundtable products and services, contact the Marketing and Communications Department at 847-692-6378 or visit the web at www.mdrtstore.com.